Bubba Wallace drove what he described as the worst handling car he had all season at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and that same car carried him to the front of the field and to within half a second of victory in the Dollar Tree 301. The reason a difficult car became a fast one explains almost everything about how this race unfolded on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026. The 25th race of the 36 on the NASCAR Cup Series calendar. At the end of 301 laps around the 1.058-mile oval known as the Magic Mile, covering 318.46 miles, it was Ryan Blaney who reached victory lane and his number 12 Team Penske Ford, holding off Bubba Wallace by .586 seconds. The Team Penske driver led a race-high 115 of 301 laps Sunday and fended off Bubba Wallace by 0.586 seconds. The win is Blaney's 20th of his NASCAR Cup Series career, coming in his 403rd Series start and marking his third victory of 2026. These two drivers have raced each other since they were 10 years old. And this was only the second time in their Cup Series careers that they had finished first and second together, the first coming at Daytona in the summer of 2021. Bubba Wallace, driving the number 2311 Racing Toyota, started 23rd and led 22 laps on his way to the runner-up result. Before any of that drama could develop, the weather set the tone. Rain fell over the speedway in the early afternoon and the field was sent out on Goodyear wet weather tires, with the green flag waving roughly 45 minutes late after the start had already been moved up an hour because of the forecast. Carson Hocevar spun on the pace laps before the race ever went green, the first sign of a tricky day. Pole sitter Tyler Reddick, who had earned the top starting spot with a lap of 131.094 miles per hour, spun exiting turn 4 on the opening lap, and both Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher had to check up to avoid him, which brought out their first caution. As the field settled, Shane Van Gisbergen proved to be the class of the wet running, building a lead of more than 7 seconds and leading 30 laps in his number 97 Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. On lap 40, a competition caution allowed teams to switch to slick tires as the surface began to dry, and once the track went dry, Van Gisbergen faded badly and ultimately finished 20th, a clear example of the comers and goers this race produced. NASCAR started the race on wet weather tires after a mid-afternoon rain shower, but the track dried quickly, and drivers switched back to slick tires after 40 laps. The opening stage belonged to a driver who came alive as the track changed. With the drivers on wet condition tires in Stage 1 and starting more than an hour after the rescheduled start time. William Byron led much of the early dry line, running before conditions shifted. As the track dried in the closing laps of the segment, Kyle Larson charged to the front and won Stage 1, his 5th stage victory of the season. There was heartbreak, too, as Ross Chastain was forced out around lap 40 with a drivetrain issue, a result that mathematically eliminated him from the postseason. Ross Chastain, who entered Sunday just 2 spots out of the chase, had his race ended at the conclusion of Stage 1 with issues under the hood, mathematically eliminating him from making the postseason. The second stage introduced the storylines that would decide the afternoon. Josh Berry emerged as a genuine contender in the number 21 Wood Brothers Racing Ford, leading 56 consecutive laps at one point and controlling long stretches of the race. Ryan Blaney ran him down and passed him to win Stage 2, giving Blaney his series-leading 7th stage win of 2026. The undercard was chaotic. A multi-car incident collected Carson Hocevar, Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, and Connor Zilisch, and a series of messy pit sequences shuffled both Christopher Bell and William Byron toward the rear of the field. Then came the moment that shaped everything that followed. Blaney won Stage 2 but fell back to 14th place at the start of the final stage after a troublesome pit stop where his crew had to hold him up to tighten his left front wheel. That single error dropped him to 14th for the restart of the final stage, and it set up the strategy that would ultimately win the race. To understand why this finish mattered so much, it helps to understand the bond between the two men at the front. Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace have been racing against each other since they were 10 years old. They grew up together, remained close friends over the years, and their families are intertwined. Yet before this Sunday, they had finished first and second in a Cup Series race only once at Daytona in the summer of 2021. Blaney summed up the balance between friendship and fierce competition. It's fun racing with your buddies. But at the end of the day, we are incredibly fierce competitors. We are going to race the hell out of each other, but you know that you can trust that person. We're going to race really hard, but we're going to race clean, Blaney said. He added, "There's only a handful of guys that are at that respect level for me out on the racetrack." This was not simply a battle for a trophy. It was one close friend chasing another down for a win, with a postseason berth hanging in the background for Bubba Wallace. The final stage turned into a chess match built around pit strategy and tire management. Riley Herbst crashed hard after contact from Michael McDowell and was then struck by Connor Zilisch, bringing out a yellow flag around lap 225. On the stops that followed, crew chief Jonathan Hassler made the aggressive call to put only 2 tires on Blaney's car, while Bubba Wallace and most of the other contenders took 4. Crew chief Jonathan Hassler made an aggressive strategy call for 2 right side tires, and Blaney gained 6 spots in the pits to retake first place. On the ensuing restart, a wheel and tire failure sent William Byron into the wall, drawing another caution and a penalty that will cost his team crew members through suspension. From there, Ryan Blaney was tasked with making 2 tires last over the longest green flag run of the day. He led the final 74 laps on the 1.058-mile oval. Blaney explained the decision that defined his afternoon. "It was a good call after our issue on pit road. We did 2 at the end to try to hopefully get the lead, and we did. It was a long run to the end, longest run we had. Just tried to manage my stuff. Knew the 4 tire guys would pressure me eventually," Blaney said. Behind him, Bubba Wallace sat on 4 fresh tires, faster and closing. Over that long green flag run, Bubba Wallace steadily erased the gap, cutting a lead of a couple of seconds down to striking distance while Ryan Blaney worked through lapped traffic. The decisive moment arrived with about 5 laps remaining. Wallace dove to the inside of the lapped number 41 of Cole Custer entering turn 3, locked up his left front tire, and picked up a significant vibration that ended his charge. "I picked up a big vibration on the left front. That was kind of it. Didn't want to end our day, so just kind of limped it around and made the most of it," Wallace said. He was candid about a car that was fast but punishing to drive. Really bad handling race car. It's fast, though. So that's the frustrating part, is you've got to throw everything away that you know what feels good and just deal with it, Wallace said. Earlier in the week, he had studied his rival closely, and he acknowledged the gap afterwards, saying, "The guy I studied the most coming into this week was the 12 car. Still came up a little bit short." Blaney, for his part, felt the pressure but refused to make a mistake. "I was aware of it for sure. I was just trying to maintain and not make a mistake. If Bubba got there, he got there, and we'll race it out." But yeah, it was a heck of a battle, Blaney said. He took the checkered flag by .586 seconds to collect his 2nd consecutive Loudon the Lobster trophy. And when asked what he planned to do with it, he smiled and said, "Put it right up next to the first one." Wallace also captured the nature of the track, saying, "This track is a game of inches. And if you miss it by an inch, you miss it by a mile." Behind the top 2, the story continued. Josh Berry finished 3rd for a season-best result and his 4th consecutive top 10 finish. It's also the first time a driver for Wood Brothers has had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes since Morgan Shepherd in 1994. Berry is racing for a job, as he will be replaced in the number 21 Ford next season by Jesse Love, and he left nothing on the table. "That was everything I had, everything I could do today. I was driving my ass off every lap," Berry said. Christopher Bell recovered from a frightening pit road moment to finish 4th after his front tire changer Blake Houston was dragged out of the pit box but was not injured. "I'm glad Blake is okay," Bell said. Kyle Larson finished 5th, and with his Stage 1 win, he locked up his place in the postseason. Ty Gibbs came home 6th, while Tyler Reddick recovered from his opening lap spin to finish 8th. Noah Gragson completed the top 10, his first top 10 result since April. Carson Hocevar had multiple single-car spinouts and finished 19th, and in all, the race at New Hampshire had 15 lead changes among 7 different drivers. The event ran 9 cautions for 51 laps. and 18 of the 36 starters finished on the lead lap. The most consequential finish behind the leaders belonged to Denny Hamlin, who came in 7th and clinched the regular season championship along with the number 1 seed for the postseason, holding a 77-point cushion over Ryan Blaney. Hamlin was measured about his day. "I feel good about where our team is right now. We're just not as strong as the Penske cars on these types of racetracks," Hamlin said. The finish also sharpened the postseason picture with 1 race remaining. 13 drivers have already locked into the 16-driver field: Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar, William Byron, and Daniel Suarez. Fighting for the final 3 spots are Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, and Shane Van Gisbergen, with Ryan Preece still chasing and Brad Keselowski needing a win and help to get in. Wallace sits 14th in points with a 75-point cushion over the cut line, meaning it would take a disaster to miss, and he needs only a point or 2 to clinch. The maximum points a driver can earn in a Cup Series race is 75. That runner-up result was meaningful for a team that has already made a mark this year, as 23XI Racing has enjoyed a breakout year in 2026, securing 7 wins between Tyler Reddick and Corey Heim. He was self-critical earlier in the week about his season. "It's just a lack of execution on my end." "You keep showing up," Wallace said. Preece gained 19 points on Van Gisbergen and now has a chance to eclipse him next weekend at Daytona in the regular season finale. Preece trails by about 31 points and has endured 2 brutal crashes at Daytona, yet his mindset is aggressive. "I'm on offense. I'm not playing defense," Preece said. Team Penske, meanwhile, has been dominant, winning 4 of the last 6 races, with Ryan Blaney taking Atlanta and New Hampshire and Joey Logano winning at North Wilkesboro and Richmond. Team Penske has now won 4 of the past 6 races on the Cup Series schedule, with Blaney taking checkered flags at Atlanta and New Hampshire, and Joey Logano winning on short tracks at North Wilkesboro and Richmond. "Team Penske has been on a heck of a tear," Blaney said. In the end, 2 friends were separated by half a second, with Blaney's execution and a bold 2-tire call defeating Wallace's raw speed, which was undone by 1 locked brake. The result added to a broader trend. As a Ford won at the Magic Mile for the 6th time in the past 9 races, and Ryan Blaney joined an exclusive group of back-to-back winners at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The NASCAR Cup Series now turns to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona International Speedway on Saturday, August 29, the regular season finale that will set the final 16-driver postseason field, where Bubba Wallace will look to lock in his spot and where the bubble drama could reshuffle everything at one of the sport's most unpredictable tracks.